just we'll gather around to where Alvin is.
To go over there.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll go.
So when
Whether we should put Jake Simon Dustin up here or have them delete seats for some of our older guys. I have them stand.
Friends and family, if I have your attention just for a moment, we are going to begin the service for Mrs. Ellen Rose Freedman. Just a gentle reminder before we begin, if we could all take a moment to please turn our phones on silent. On behalf of the family, we want to thank everybody for joining us here at the cemetery, as well as those who are joining us on the live stream. And if anybody does want, we have some extra waters. I know it's a little bit hot in the sun. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Gideon Isaacs.
We'll begin with a ritual of Kriya, of the tearing of the ribbon. I'll invite the family to come forward and gather around Alvin.
some of you were there when we spoke, just an acknowledgement that this ribbon, as we tear it, is a recognition of the way in which lives are forever changed, forever torn asunder, even as it can be repaired, will not be the same. And in that moment of sadness and loss, we say the blessing, Dayan Haemet, blessed is the true judge. A moment of acceptance in that difficult time of recognizing that this is not punishment, this is not anything like the true way of the world, beyond our understanding. And let us hope that blessing can help us as we move towards healing in a difficult time, great heaviness in our hearts. We can repeat after me, Baruch, Dayan, Haemet. You can rip or have something to help you.
Just on the bottom?
This?
Okay, just rip it.
One more ribbon.
But he's got it.
Yeah, I can start it for anybody by this one. I'll start it for you. Another one? Friends, I invite you to sit down. Next one.
You who heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds, grant comfort and consolation to these mourners as they face their grief. Fill their lives with the acts of loving kindness and truth, which serve as the genuine memorial to our dear Ellen. The deep bond of love will remain unbroken. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy, a holy thing to love what death has touched. We're here to honor the blessed memory and celebrate the life of Ellen Rose Freedman. We are also here to comfort the mourners as we began with the ritual of Kriya, of tearing a ribbon, reminder to others, and in more difficult moments to the mourners themselves of this loss. Sometimes we lose sight. The world around us pulls us in, and this torn ribbon reminds us of the way in which our lives are forever changed to any who were touched by Ellen. And so we bring comfort to the mourners, husband Alvin Freedman, sister Marsha Seises, and wife and husband David, son Jason Freedman and wife Rachel, grandchildren Ryan, Asher, Michaela Freedman, and a group so close, we also offer our love and to support to Ellen's nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews as well, the children of Marsha and David. In this difficult time, we look to our tradition for comfort, which we find in Psalm 23, which I will chant in Hebrew, followed by the English. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, binot eshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenahaleini. Nafshi shovev, yancheni b'mablei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech בגיא מוות לא יירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, restores my soul, and lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. We honor Ellen's memory with words of remembrance. And so I invite her sister, Marsha, to share with us.
I wrote this tribute to my beloved sister for her 80th birthday celebration. Some of you may remember having heard it. It makes me happy to know that Ellen heard it, although there is no doubt that she always knew how much she meant to me. Please bear with me. I brought up a lot of tissues, but I'm going to try my best to get all the way through. For the past 77 years, I have been so very lucky. I had the best big sister anyone could have. Right beside me, someone to guide me, someone to help me grow, someone great to look up to, someone leading the way. I was there when she was 4.5, and she found out she had a new baby sister. I don't remember it, but I was told she was happy. I believe it because to me, she was always happy, happy to welcome new people into her life. I believe it because she has been my amazing big sister, and forever after, she was there leading the way. Maybe she wasn't quite as happy with me when I became a little bratty when I was in the early years of grade school. Our father had become ill, and our mother had to join the workforce, not a common thing in those days. And at the tender age of 10, my sister had to become the acting mommy in residence. I hear I wasn't the most cooperative child in those days, and I believe it. To this day, I hate picking up my toys. I am much better at making a mess than cleaning one up. But my amazing big sister stepped to the plate and led by example, teaching me along the way how important it is to cooperate and work as a team, teaching me compassion, kindness, and caring for others, teaching me how to be a good human being, teaching me how to be a good sister, wife, mother, grandmother, and friend. These values that I treasure in her, she instilled in me because she was there leading the way. And my sister's special influence continued as I grew and became a preteen and then a teen. It was astonishing to me that she wanted to include me in the things that she did. She was never selfish or snooty. She seemed to enjoy sharing her life with me, taking me along with her teenage friends when she went exploring the city, even though I was just a little kid, a tag-along. She introduced me to great literature, culture, and the arts. We spent many a day exploring the museums, the Met, MoMA, the Frick, the Guggenheim. My amazing big sister opened up my eyes to the beauty of the world and the value of pursuing its riches. I am forever grateful that she was there for me, leading the way. As the years passed, we grew into adulthood and our bond never wavered. At each bend in the road, we shared our love and commitment to one another. Marrying and raising wonderful families, becoming social workers and building careers, marching and fighting for civil rights and women's rights, and doing our little bit to try to make the world a better place for our kids and grandkids. And more recently, fighting to keep our democracy in the face of Trumpism and extremism. Can't turn the page. Oh, no. What did I do wrong? Somebody help me get to the next page. Thank you. Sorry about that. And now we have entered the latest phase of life's journey. We are charged with paving a path to that special forever place. And once again, I learned so much from my amazing sister. But I have learned so much from many others I am remembering today, but especially from the women in my family, like my wonderful grandmother, Jessie, my amazing mother, Mary, and my fantastic cousin, Lynn. They all taught me and Ellen how to be strong and courageous and caring women, how to meet challenges with grace and dignity, how to be loving and to be loved. Our spirit truly never dies. It lives on in us all. And so today and every day, I am the luckiest person alive because for my whole life and forevermore, my sister lives here in my heart, leading the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha. It is part of our Jewish tradition to speak words of Torah this time, connecting the life of the one we have lost to the eternal truths of Judaism, an expression of the way in which our lives are woven with the sacred fabric of the world as we see our loved one, Ellen, reflected in the role models we find in our Torah. This week we read of Moses offering his final guidance to the people of Israel as they are on the verge of entering the Holy Land. He knows that he will not lead them any further, and recognizing the people's natural tendency towards self-doubt, he offers them this encouragement, more than an encouragement, a truth about humanity and the Torah. Surely this teaching which I enjoin upon you today, this Torah, is not too baffling for you, Moses says, nor is it beyond your reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us so that we may follow it? No, says Moses to the people, the thing is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart to do it. I guess I would encapsulate that in the words of today as Moses saying, You got this. This is Moses, who went up into the heavens to get those teaching. You might look at him, and the people too might look at him and say, sure, easy for him to say. He's the one who went up there. What does he know of hardship, of the life of an average person? You might not know his story enough to know that he was also the Moses who ran away from the palace, who tried not to take up the mantle of leadership, who was so afraid to speak publicly that he needed his brother alongside for support. If you knew Ellen, you may notice some profound similarities. She approached life with a positive, can-do attitude, a strong sense of the possible. She always saw the best in people, believing in their abilities to anything they set their minds to. She believed in those abilities, none more so than those she loved most. With her son, Jason, moving around time and again, that could be tough on anyone. A slightly shy kid, even more so. But she worked hard to draw him out of his shell, believed in him, encouraged his interests. Whether it was in 6th grade, whether when in a class they did a little bit of rudimentary computer programming so that she made sure for his bar mitzvah they bought one of the first home computers. Or other moments of self-doubt where she would remind him of his strengths, his triumphs. Simply put, she was his greatest cheerleader, the president of the Jason fan club. With her grandchildren, and great nieces and nephews too, she helped them through. When one struggled with reading, she sat with them, read, and then had them repeat. And then as their reading skills, their literacy took flight, she was there to buy book after book to satiate that bottomless appetite for reading. Now, as with Moses, it might be easy to look at Ellen and think, but she could do literally anything. I must admit, the difficulty of this task, sitting with the family and hearing all that this woman accomplished and was able to do in her life, to try to encapsulate this in a few moments. An architect, painter, party planner, seamstress. But she too had doubts. Born in an era when women were taught to seek out an MRS degree at college, she fought to overcome that voice, that insecurity. And it took time, but eventually she became, yes, an MRS, but also an MSW, an incredibly accomplished leader wherever she went. And a final point of connection, which we saw represented firsthand, Moses had his brother Aaron as his partner, confidant, best friend. Ellen had Marsha. And Marsha was there to foster that strong maternal urge, as we heard, which started at the tender age of 10. When her father took ill, her mother went to work, and her little sister was put in her care. She was a natural. She was nuts for all kids, which is probably why she started out as a preschool teacher. She was an incredible mother, and no one she was more gaga over than her family, her grandchildren, great-nephews, and nieces. A call from one of them generated so much excitement it felt like you made her year, and an in-person visit, oy, forget it. In later years, she found a way to increase that precious time. Again, with her partner in crime, Marsha, they formalized an institution that they co-founded, which was known, they opened on the shores of Lake Michigan, Camp Grandma in New Buffalo. Enrollment was cheap. There they had time to lavish all their attention on them. There were daily visits to the beach where swimming and play in the sand was abundant, even if Twizzlers were sparse. No more than 3 to a camper. There was reading, card playing, canasta, and bridge. And really, what could be bad with a camp counselor, co-director like Ellen, who was always happy? There was a deep affirmation of life that simply radiated from within her. It's probably what fueled her great love of musical. I mean, there's nothing happier than a musical. Many of you know and saw, I'm sure, that she had a t-shirt that read, "Warning, likely to burst into song." This was no idle warning. At the drop of a hat, trying something difficult, I didn't think you'd do it. I don't have the tune exactly, but we know it's from My Fair Lady, and on and on. And as much as she sang, she was an incredible listener, possessed of great patience. She would ask questions about everything and anything, again, starting most significantly with her family's lives. Her curiosity knew no bounds. Working at the oncology clinic in Cleveland, she brought that incredible curiosity, creativity, and intelligence to her work. She noticed that the social workers who were at the front line might not have such an understanding of the medical care, that they could be fantastic translators to those patients in such deep need. And so she initiated having rounds with the doctors so they too could learn what was being done and explain it best to those who needed it. She started a conference on the secondary costs of cancer when she noticed that one of her patients, a young teacher, was charged extra property tax for putting a necessary ramp onto their home as a home improvement. And on and on. She always wanted to learn and grow, and through her model, she taught all of her family to be real lovers of learning. It's true, she had a soft touch, but that didn't mean she was a pushover. She questioned everything, especially the status quo. She fought, as we heard, for civil rights and social justice. And, as the family shared, as an architect on 2 homes of her own that she designed and served as general contractor for, she went into the male-dominated world where she'd be of home building, where she'd be tough as nails, bossing them all around. She got stuff done. And not just done, but done right. Right was her way. The fact was, things she could do on her own, as handy as she was making her own clothes as a young woman, precise tiling work, if she could do it on her own, why would she pay for it? So, if you were going to work for her, you better conform to her standard. Heaven help you if you got in her way. She just attacked life with gusto. She took no guff. But also, again, in that inimitable, gentle way, do no harm, take no guff. She filled every moment with productivity, fun, creativity, beauty, and human connection. And she lived life, it may surprise you to hear, in the fast lane. As she was known, Grandma Leadfoot. While stopped at a red light somewhere outside of Cleveland, Jason and his buddies were in the car. They saw her. This was on the highway. They noticed her purple Accord, what style and panache, go flying past them. So they thought, well, let's catch up with her. 80, 90 miles an hour. No such luck. It took getting off the highway onto the side streets till finally, only because stopped at a red light, they were able to see her. And another great red light memory of the fun and gusto and love of life, she loved to listen to Jason and his friends' music. So, as they blasted some Van Halen, she pumped along to the bass line, hitting the brake, taking her foot off it, on, off, rocking the car. This combination of soft, caring mother and, can I say the word badass? Made her a cool mom. It was her enduring partnership with Alvin that made them cool parents. It was a storied and glorious partnership with her soulmate, Alvin. He, and this too I can attest firsthand of the corny dad jokes, she, rolling her eyes but secretly laughing in appreciation. Some couples commit to life together, and for the sake of what they have built, they tolerate each other. Not so Alvin and Ellen. They were devoted to each other, warts and all. They loved being in each other's company, and they were in this together. When they first met at Camp Waltell in Pennsylvania, he was the older man, the one experienced at camp. With the Olympics, their version of a color war, he was captain of Team Japan. She was his support staff. The very next year, she was the captain, and he was in support. And their life was like that. Starting off, he saw himself as the protector, but over time, knowing what a formidable individual she was, how much she could handle, it became 50-50. And in recent years, with his health failing, sometimes even more than that. And then later on, still Alvin doing what he could to help Ellen, each helping each other. They were both very playful in life, always wanting to make new friends. And this drew people to them. This, in their way of listening, patience, acceptance. They loved to have fun. They would not countenance boredom. There was always something to do. And of course, as many of you know, Ellen loved parties. She was an incredible planner. She would organize them, serving as party planner for grandchildren's b'nai mitzvahs, for all the birthday parties. And though she moved back here after a stint here decades ago, she joined Marsha's circle and the circle of so many of you here in Jewish involvement in social justice work and NCJW, of not just doing the work, but of doing the love of friendship, companionship. In recent years, as Marsha shared the toast, she even got to celebrate her 80th birthday, a real highlight. As Marsha said, as she spoke here, but also spoke when we met, Ellen has been with her whole life and is still with her. And I know I speak for her family when I share the same. And she is still a presence and will guide. I want to end with sharing a word from Alvin, who, when I asked if he'd like to speak, he said there's just one sentence he'd want to say to make sure that everyone knew, but especially that Ellen knew. Just simply that I love her. That's from Alvin, but I'm also confident that I share that on behalf of her family. She was a woman loved and blessed those who knew and loved her. Her memory will certainly always be for a blessing. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember Ellen. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember Ellen. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember her. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember Ellen. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember Ellen. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember Ellen. So long as we live, she too shall live I'm sure she is now a part of us as we remember her. In that vein of memory, we'll recite the El Maleh Rachamim, in which we pray that her memory be forever bound up in the bonds of the living. And the truth is that this is in our hands. After the funeral, we'll return to the Freedman home, share food together, comfort the mourners, and share stories. Those stories, those memories, they are blessings. And whenever you gather, please continue to share those stories, for as you do, they will keep her memory alive. They will keep her life bound up in ours. And we will forever be aware of the memory, of the blessing that those memories brought and that she brought to all of our lives. Exalted, compassionate God, grant peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, who shine with the splendor of the heavens, to the soul of our dear Ellen, who's gone to her eternal home. God of mercy, remember all her worthy deeds in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May her memory always inspire us to attain dignity and holiness in life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. It was the translation for the prayer. I will now chant El Maleh Rachamim. As you are able, I invite you to please rise. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, המצאי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת אלן בת מרים ומשה שלחה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה. ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. And we say Amen. You may be seated. As the service draws to a close, we read a liturgy which acknowledges the righteousness, the justice of judgment here. As I said in the words around the Kriya, the judgment that is not one we can understand or try to divine, nor should we, other than to know that it is the way of the world that our days are finite, and we all meet our end, and it is not ours to reason. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. Adonai has given, Adonai has taken away. Blessed be the name of Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem betuvo, v'hemit etchem badin, v'nata betochechem chayei olam. Baruch atah Adonai dayan ha'emet. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who forms us in the divine image, who nourishes and sustains us in your goodness. You cause all of us to die according to your wisdom. You know and number every soul. You implant immortal life within us. Blessed are you, Adonai, the true judge. In a moment, we'll recite the mourner's Kaddish, and that will be followed by lowering of the casket and observance of the ritual, the tradition for those who would like to observe, of helping in the final act of caring for the departed by putting some earth into the grave. This act is one of pure, unselfish love. Caring for the dead is an act of righteousness that cannot be repaid, and it should be done by loving, caring hands. So after the mourner's Kaddish, and after we have lowered, I'll invite first the family and then others to do so. If you'd like, you can also follow the tradition of using the back of the shovel as we show our hesitancy in doing this act, even as we do it with love. In the mourner's Kaddish, even in this sad moment, we also embrace life. We invite holiness and divinity into our world. We know that it is the source of our comfort as we move forward. I'll invite you once again as you are able to rise for the mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ומעלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו. לעולם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony on the high bring peace to us and comfort to all mourners in our midst among all Israel, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. As the casket is lowered, I will sing further psalm of consolation, a psalm particularly for this time of year, Psalm 27. This only do I ask of Adonai, to live in your house all the days of my life. Hide me in the shelter of your tent. Let me observe the shining glory of your presence. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, ota avakesh. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulvaker beheichalo. Lachazot benoam Adonai, ולבקר בהיכלו. first bit of earth is from the land of Israel, tying Ellen eternally to our people, to our tradition, marking the holiness of this sacred soul.
Friends, in a moment, I'm going to put the register book back out. I know there was a number of people who wanted to still sign in. So within a minute, I'll put the book maybe over here under the canopy for those who haven't had a chance to sign in. Upon return from the cemetery, the Freedman family will be sitting Shiva at their home 303 Wisteria Drive in Olympia Fields until 7 p.m. this evening, and Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. Sorry?
From 5 to 8:30.
Monday through Wednesday, 5 to 8:30. And for those of you online, that information will be updated shortly.
And there'll be a Shiva Minion Monday night at 7.
With Minion Monday night at 7 p.m.
And one other thing is that when people arrive at Wisteria, they should all park on one side of the road, anywhere around the community, but a car can't drive through if you park on both sides, so they have to park on just one side, follow the lead of whoever's there first.
And just to say it a little louder for everyone to hear, when arriving at the Freeman residence on 303 Wisteria Drive, if everyone could please remember to park on one side to allow the other residents to move through and drive to where they need to go. Memorials in Ellen's memory can be made to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. That information, as well as the updated Shiva information, will be available on our live stream for those who are here and for those who are on the live stream as well.
Checking on the Shiva times. Come with.
Friends, if there's anybody else who wishes to participate, you can step forward now, either side of the mound. Place a measure of earth into the grave.
Yes,
Friends, this does conclude our service here at the cemetery. For those wishing to remain, in just a few moments, the cemetery staff will be helping with some heavy machinery. Those who don't wish to remain can certainly go back to their cars. Thank you so much.